All right, everybody, how's it going? It is Tuesday, January 17th, 2022, and of course, we just finished with the NFL's Wild Card Weekend. I guess you can call it the Super Wild Card Weekend because there's 6 games. And whatever, that's the silliest thing they've ever done. But anyway, we have the Divisional Round NFL Pick'em to go over now, so, we're getting closer and closer to the Super Bowl, which is also kind of a bummer because that also means we're getting close to the end of the season, and that means no more football. Well, I guess if you count like the XFL and the USFL until like August, then it's kind of like, eh. But anyway, we shouldn't really focus on that. We did pretty good last week, going 3-3 overall. Wasn't the greatest week. I know a lot of people went like undefeated, so congrats if you did that. Sometimes the playoffs are difficult. Sometimes you think certain things will happen, but hey, look at the Jaguars and Chargers. Everybody was probably certain the Chargers won that game after a 27-0 start with 4 interceptions, but then the Chargers just didn't do a single thing for the rest of the game, and the Jaguars won. Then the Giants got a big upset. The Cowboys held their own against, there's just those 3 games I just didn't really see happening. So it is what it is. Hopefully we get it better this week. There is 4 games to go over, so we'll get to those in just a moment. Just so you know, with the 8 teams that are remaining, I'm pretty sure these games are pretty even. Well, there's a couple that feel a little weird, but I feel like anything can go. So just remember, if you have a much better opinion or something like that, and you think you have a better take, or you think mine's wrong, make sure you leave your picks and your thoughts down below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Just remember that it's pretty subjective at this point in the season who wins, who you pick, unless you just feel like the reason's completely wrong, why I give the reason I think the team's going to win. You can always just let me know in the comments. That always helps the video out, makes it perform a little better, as do likes, as do subscribing to the channel. I know I'm sorry to slick that in there and slide it in there this early in the video, but it does help the video perform a little bit better, and it does, it's just YouTube stuff. And I always start with the comments though, because those are more important, and I like to see how people are seeing these games, what they think of my picks, and what their reasonings are, if they do or they don't, and all that fun stuff. So consider leaving a like, consider leaving a comment, consider subscribing if you're new, because it helps the channel out, helps the video do better, and it's all free. So, without further ado, what the hell? So the AFC seedings really quick, and the NFC seedings on who's left. Of course, all the wild card teams lost in the AFC, which is pretty crazy. The Jaguars won, the Bengals won, the Bills won, and obviously the Chiefs had a bye week, so we get the Chiefs playing the Jaguars and the Bills playing the Bengals. In the NFC, it was a little crazier. 2 of the wild card teams ended up winning in the New York Giants, who beat the Minnesota Vikings, and the Cowboys obviously beat the Buccaneers last night, and the Seahawks wound up losing to the 49ers. So we only have the 1 seed playing the Giants. So we have the Eagles playing the Giants, and then the 2 seed 49ers playing the 5 seed Cowboys. So it's kind of how this all breaks down and kind of how it all works. As we go forward, we'll just eliminate teams and black them out here on the thing. They've been eliminated. All right, Saturday football, so let's hop into it. We got our first game coming up. It'll be at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. It'll be the 4 seed Jaguars taking on the 1 seed Kansas City Chiefs, as we previously discussed. Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites with an over-under of 52.5. The Chiefs are coming off a bye, obviously, as the 1 seed, and then you have the Jaguars, who are coming off a crazy 31-30 upset win over the Chargers, as we discussed. They were down 27-7 and going into half with 4 interceptions, and I think they had 5 total turnovers in this game. It was pretty ugly by the Jaguars, really, but thankfully for some reason the Chargers had a Falcons level collapse where their offense just went cold. They got really conservative, they got really scared, they started making bad decisions with the football, which pretty much just enabled this epic comeback by the Jaguars to happen. So again, while the Jaguars played good in the second half, I have to wonder if a lot of that big win, that emotional win for the Jaguars, while it was good, it's impressive, I wonder if it was more like the Chargers imploded and blew the game rather than the Jaguars came back and won the game through their own tenacity. Again, not taking anything away from the comeback. It was a good comeback. It was a good try, but I do wonder if the Jaguars had hit 2 field goals in that half, that comeback isn't possible. You know what I mean? So it's like they made some really bad decisions to where it's like you only needed 2 field goals to theoretically go 27 to 36, which is 6 points, and you win the game 33-31, they run out of time. So it's like there's this weird conundrum in this game where I'm like, while I do think the Jaguars will keep it very close like they did in the regular season, and probably because they seem to be a little bit better than they were even when they played in the regular season, we have this more mature, a little bit better Jaguars team. I do think, again, they're playing way outside of their zones. They kind of looked really bad in that first half of that game. And if they come out and make those level of mistakes again against a team like the Chiefs, or even half the amount of mistakes, say they throw 2 picks in the first half and they get down 21-7, do you really think Kansas City is going to come out and make the same mistakes and blow the game? No. So one of the things that I have in this game and why I like the Chiefs is it seems like the Jaguars were able to win that game based off of very bad decisions by the Los Angeles Chargers, rather than they were in the game the whole time and it was always going to be close. No, it's like, nah, the Chargers would have just played like slightly better, smarter football in the second half. They win that game. They don't even have to really do much. They just have to hit 2 field goals, and they failed to do so. You know what I mean? They even failed to hit a kick, which if they hit that field goal that Dicker missed, they win the game. You know what I mean? It's just like there's 2 things that, like, you know, it seems like the Chargers choked and blew the game rather than Jaguars were able to just overcome a bunch of mistakes and win. They were, because the Chargers started making mistakes, which I don't see the Kansas City Chiefs making, especially at home. This is going to be a tough game for the Jaguars. Again, they were able to win at home. Now they have to go on the road and see what it's like to play at a very hostile playoff environment. So this is going to be tough. While I do think the Chiefs can cover a 9-point spread, which is what the Chiefs are favored to win by, is 8.5, so 9. Look for the Jaguars to keep it close like they did in the regular season. If maybe, hell, I mean, an upset could happen, but it would take quite a bit from the Jaguars to pull off an upset here. Again, nice win by the Jaguars, fun win by the Jaguars, but I think a lot of it came at the fact that the Chargers imploded and the Jaguars took great advantage of it. And I don't see the Chiefs making those kind of mistakes. They tend to capitalize on mistakes that teams make. If they throw 2 or 3 picks, that's 21 points, and if they throw 4, that's 28. The Chiefs aren't going to make those mistakes. So give me the Chiefs in a 31-24 game in which the Jaguars look really good. And 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard. So right after that game, we'll have the 6th seed Giants taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, who are coming off a bye, and the Giants are coming off a 31-24 win versus the Vikings, in which they looked really solid. It was just a good game, and the Giants came out on top. Daniel Jones had an unreal playoff game, probably the second best, if not the best performance of the weekend, unless you count Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott, however you want to look at that. But I would probably say that he had one of the better performances Daniel Jones did. Probably won over a lot of Giants fans is the long-term answer. But let's look at the line really quick. The Eagles are favored by 7.5 with an over-under of 48.5. I feel like the Giants easy cover that, but I do wonder who's going to win this game. I like that for Philadelphia that it's in their home stadium, so that gives them a big advantage. This is the 3rd time these 2 teams have played each other, and again, it is the Eagles who are up 2-0 in the series, and they blew them out the first game, a very close game in the second game in which the Giants rested all of their starters, I believe. So it was the Eagles starters, most of them, versus the Giants backups, and the Eagles barely won that game. So I'm just wondering, like, there's a lot to give in this one. But one of the things I think about as we get further and further into the playoffs, and one thing that might matter a little bit, is something like experience. And I think there's a good amount of experience on the Eagles team with their defensive players like Sue or offensive linemen that they do have. So there is a decent amount of playoff experience on this team compared to a rather young Giants team. So I kind of keep that in mind. Let's see, coaching experience. Dable has probably only gone so far, so is Sirianni. So you kind of have this like interesting thing where they have 2 good coaching staffs. You have 2 pretty good. You have an Eagles offense that's way better. Probably give the Giants defense. Probably the Eagles defense is a little better. And that's kind of where you have to go to, right? You're like, all right, so coaching, I might give Dable a little bit of a nod, but again, Sirianni's no slouch himself. He's 14-3 this year. And he's done a really good job with this football team that maybe only played that game so closely because their quarterback had a bit of rust in him. So basically the way I'm looking at this, as long as Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense isn't rusty and kind of like slowed down from just like inactivity and just not really playing much together over the last few weeks due to the Hurts injury, and as long as Hurts is feeling good and healthy and feeling fresh as he can, I think the Eagles should be able to win this game like a 28-23. We'll see a very good effort out of the Giants, but again, I think the fact that it's in Philadelphia, I like a little bit more experience that the Eagles as a team have overall in the playoffs and in longer playoff runs. I just kind of like the Eagles offense a little bit more than the Giants, who are kind of like a run heavy offense that can be shut down at times. Or, you know, like, again, you kind of have to have like this crazy game like you had out of the Hodgins or something like that, Hodgkins or something for the Giants. I can't remember his last name cleanly, I'm sorry. You have to have a game like that out of a receiver to have a good passing game, and it's just like, it seems like that's a tall ass order. And again, the Vikings defense is so poor and porous. I have to wonder, like, did the Giants offense only look so coherent and so sharp because they're playing against the worst playoff defense? Now they're going up against one of the better playoff defenses in the Eagles. So, you know, I have that in mind. And with the Eagles, again, I do wonder, you know, can they win a third straight? That's one of the harder things to do. So I keep that in mind, but I still like the Eagles in this one, 28-23 for those reasons. Should be a really good game though. Giants definitely cover 7.5. All right, Sunday football. We got 2 games left to go over at 3 o'clock. This should be one of the better games of the entire weekend. It is the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Buffalo Bills, the rematch game, the game that was canceled. Bills are favored by 4.5 with an over-under of 48.5, but this time the game is in Buffalo. Obviously, both teams are coming off wins. Don't really need to point that out. They're both coming off division games too, so those are always a little tougher. So it's kind of hard to take away from, like, you know, their offense wasn't good against the Ravens. You know what I mean? Like, the Bills' defense wasn't that good against the backup Dolphins offense. And it's like, yeah, it is like the third time these two guys have played each other. So, you know, the Dolphins have a really good idea of how to play the Bills defensively, or, you know, how to handle the Bills defense. And like the Bengals have a really good idea of how to stop the Ravens offense. You know, there's all these like X, Y, and Z factors when you play a team for the third time that I have so much trouble taking. Like, what do I take away from that? Well, if I have to take those games seriously, then I have to look at the fact that the Bills just gave up 31 points to the Dolphins offense, and they kept turning the ball over to the Miami defense that's been one of probably the second worst in the playoffs this year behind Minnesota. So I have to look at those things and go, well, so Cincinnati's just going to run the table on the Bills. If we have to take those games as seriously as they just occurred, then I have to look at that game and take it very seriously and go, well, they gave up like 30 points to Skylar Thompson and company. Or they at least, you know, their offense put them in a position to give up too many points. Buffalo was turning the ball over a little too much. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a few things where I wonder, and those things are on my mind in this game. I do wonder what happened. Why did they give up so much to Thompson? Why did the Bengals offense go so ice cold again in a football game where they needed a major defensive stop and a big defensive play to get a defensive touchdown late in the game against the Ravens to win? What happened to the offense? Is the Ravens defense just that good? Was it just, you know, the Ravens defense knows how to play that offense really well because they play them all the time, and this was just like the third time this year? Was it just like the Dolphins understand how to beat the Bills offense and that's why Thompson had a good game? Or is the Bills defense just kind of porous, and is the Cincinnati offense kind of going to get like tripped up a few times in a game? Those are things you all got to think about. And I think you can kind of take like a little bit to be true, right? Like, well, maybe the Bills defensively are a little bit easy to score on right now because the secondary is a little depleted. They're having issues there all year with injuries and guys staying healthy, and you know what I mean? It hasn't been as shut down as it has been in years past anyway. With the Bengals, their offense sometimes can be kind of up and down. They have games where they've just stopped, like against the Patriots. They won 22-18, scored 22 in the first half, then just didn't score again in the game. So it's not too crazy to see those things and point those out as faults. The Bills have been turning the ball over a lot in the red zone this year. That's a problem in a game like this, in a playoff game. If you make mistakes against the Cincinnati offense, they'll make you pay for it. And that's kind of where I'm leaning in this, right? I'm kind of wondering what's going on with Buffalo's defense giving up 31 to Skylar Thompson. That is very concerning, regardless of if the Dolphins know him. And then with the Bengals, my biggest concern is their offense. Are they going to be able to score and be consistent and stay consistent throughout the full game? Because the few times I've watched them this year, their offense does just kind of stop at some point and it gets a little weird. So keep that in mind. But I do think, based on what I've seen from both teams, I like the Bills a little bit. I like the Bengals a little bit more because, again, I like what I've seen out of their offense. I like what I see out of their defense. Buffalo, on the other hand, it feels like if Tua would have played this game, Miami would have won. And I don't think that's that controversial because, again, they were turning it over. They were barely able to stop it. There was 3 big drops by the Dolphins receivers that, if they don't happen, those are like first and goal, maybe touchdowns, and it could have been a lot uglier, is all I have to say. So give me the Bengals, because the Bills just were very uninspiring against the Dolphins. 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, the last game of the weekend. It'll be the Dallas Cowboys taking on the San Francisco 49ers, one of the classic rivalry games in all of the NFL's history. The 49ers are 4-point favorites with an over-under of 46.5. Obviously, both teams are coming off a win. Dallas Cowboys coming off a 31-14 routing of the Buccaneers, ending Tom Brady's season. And, of course, the 49ers coming off a 41-23 win over the Seahawks. These two teams were the only two teams to play in blowouts this weekend. Everybody else was in weird, very close one-score games. We can go back and look: 31-30, 31-24, 24-17, 34-31, and then you have two blowouts. So you have two teams that are ready to play, ready to go at each other. They do not like one another, so there's good tension in the game already. 49ers are favored by 4 with an over-under of 46.5, and yeah, that's kind of where I'm going. I like the 49ers defensively here. I think they'll be able to shut down the run game. They're pretty good at shutting down the run, containing that, so then it becomes 100% on the pass. And I think without play action, without the threat of the run with Pollard or Zeke, I think that kind of limits what Dak can do and kind of takes away that proponent of the offense and makes it, all right, go ahead and throw it. We're going to put tremendous pressure on you with guys like Bosa, guys like Warner, guys like, I think they have Armstrong is one of the other guys, if he's healthy. So you have... I don't know. I just kind of like what the 49ers defensively can do to the Cowboys offensively. And then with the Cowboys defense, they can be kind of up and down, hit and miss. They've been good lately, but they can be bad sometimes. You have this 49ers offense that just got Debo back. They got Ayuk. They've got Christian McCaffrey. They've got Kittle, and they look completely unstoppable. They look like a freak force of nature against the Seahawks, just moving the ball at will. Debo looks like he was being shot out of a cannon all game long, so expect that again. I kind of like the fact that the 49ers have the home field advantage in this game, so that's very important. I like the Shanahan versus McCarthy. I like Shanahan advantage in this one. Okay, there's just, you know what I mean? Like, maybe the Cowboys have a slight offensive advantage, but I think the 49ers will be able to run the ball, and if the Cowboys go too hard in stopping the run and focusing on McCaffrey and Debo running, then I think that Brock Purdy is good enough to be able to throw the ball around to a pretty good receiving core that he's got going on. So, there's this weird fundamental aspect where I think the 49ers might just have the Cowboys beat in everything I try to think of. Can't really trust the Cowboys kicking situation right now, so the special teams way on the 49ers side. And, again, I just think that the 49ers being able to be so multifaceted in offense, they can run it, they can throw it, really messes up a team like the Cowboys, who maybe might try to sell out and to stop the run, to force a rookie to throw it, who's been throwing it extremely well to a bunch of very talented guys who are all playing really well. There's a really big problem with that. It's what do we do? Do we force the white hot rookie who's not making mistakes to throw it? Sure, but if he dices us up like he did against Seattle, we're going to look stupid. All right, maybe we focus on stopping him. Oh no, we're giving Christian McCaffrey and Debo free run. Maybe the Cowboys have a perfect plan for it. I'd like to see it. They're not playing like the slow moving Tom Brady this week, so give me the 49ers in one hell of a game, 23-21. Again, those are my picks for the weekend, so that's probably going to be most for it. And again, just if you disagree with anything, just be sure to leave your picks down below, or just let me know. You don't have to go crazy or call me stupid or anything. Picks at this level, at this point in the season, are all, I think, very subjective. Objective, and you can make an argument for any team to win this weekend, I think, personally. So let me hear your arguments. I'd like to hear them. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, or if not, just to help us out. Subscribe if you're new around here. I'd appreciate that. And yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. We're already to the NFL Divisional Round of the playoffs. I can't believe it. Next week it's gonna be crazy. We're gonna be doing conference championship picks, then Super Bowl picks. How sad. And then it's just speculate until the NFL draft. And all right, well, thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the views the last few weeks and everything like that. I appreciate you guys for subscribing and all the comments. It's been fun. And, hopefully y'all enjoy this one. Thank you for listening. Have a great rest of your day, night, morning, mid-afternoon, that time between 7 and 8 p.m. when it's not quite evening, but it is getting pretty late, kind of. But anyway, whenever time you listen, have a good one. Go Lions, go Tigers, and of course, it's always go Patriots. I'll see you next time. Peace out. And, yeah.